Good afternoon. It's Thursday. It's 3:08, and it's time for you to be adrenalized. That's right, folks. It's time to get that blood flowing and get re-energized. Why? Because you're here. You're alive, and it's time to be motivated to live your best life. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Mindset and Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you so much for tuning in today on which is finally another beautiful Thursday. Every Thursday is a beautiful day around here. I got to tell you, in the studio right now, live at MacArthur Airport, it is hot in here. It is warm, but we are going to get through it because it's warm outside. It's like 20 degrees warmer than it was yesterday. But it's going to be one of those great shows. I have a great guest in store for you today, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm grateful to be here and alive, grateful to wake up this morning. You know, it's funny. I was at a funeral a couple of weeks ago. It's not funny. I was at a funeral a couple of weeks ago, and this rabbi gave an incredible speech on and talk about life. And, you know, he said, when you get a gift, your mother taught you how to always say thank you for that gift. And, you know, he said, how many of you this morning when you woke up said thank you because you were given a gift? You were given a gift for a new day. You were given the gift to be here, to continue to work on yourself, to be here and to really do the most with this life that you can possibly do. So I hope that sets you in motion because it is a beautiful day out there. And I hope if you've had a tough day, I hope that brings you up. Well, I want to hear from you. You can give me a call here in the studio, 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039. We are live at MacArthur Airport. It is almost 3:09 right now. And I want to hear from you too. I want you to go to my website at tommarino.com. Go check out, read a blog post, go read some of my recent articles. There's a ton of resources available for you. I write for you and I put them out there for you. So go visit tommarino.com. And hey, if you're working on something or you're struggling to work on something, you're procrastinating, you're stressed out, you're overwhelmed, and you're just foggy and you just need some support and you want some support to navigate some life issues, some transitions that maybe you're going through, just give me a call at 516-588-0750, 516-588-0750, or just fill out a contact form on my website. That's tommarino.com. Alrighty, let's get into today's show. I am so excited. I'm so excited because I'm going to welcome back my first guest. You're my first welcome back guest. Wow. So I want to introduce you to Gabby Stras. If you haven't heard Gabby before, she was on a while back, one of my early shows, and she had called in and we spoke a little bit about her journey in coaching. And she is a client of mine, and she's been a client, and we've been working on a ton of things over the last year and a half that we've been spending together. And she's going to announce something very big that she's going to be working on and releasing in January, and I'll let her do that. So Gabby, welcome back.
Thank you so much, Tom. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited for you to be here. It's a beautiful day.
Gorgeous.
It's good energy in the room. You know, you're all pumped. I know you just got over the flu.
I know.
You look great for getting over the flu.
A little nasally still, but it's okay. We're
all right.
good.
Exactly.
We're good.
It's that time of year, you know, where everybody's catching a cold. Is it COVID? Is it the flu? Is it allergies?
I know.
And it's stressful.
Everyone's catching something, but stay safe out there. Wash your hands, do all the things.
Absolutely. Look at that. You can tell Gabby works in healthcare. She works in healthcare. So Gabby, tell people a little bit about you. Tell us who is Gabby?
Yes. So my name is Gabby. I have been working with Tom, like you said, for a year and a half. Really at a very pivotal time in my life. I work in the healthcare space, but on the business side, really focused on population health strategy. Been doing that for about 5 years. And during COVID, I felt like I was really not being that fulfilled. So that really led me to Tom. So I've been in the field for about 5 years or so. I went to Penn State for undergrad, so big Nittany Lion fan over here. And then also received my MBA from the University of Maryland, Robert H. Smith School of Business. And then to be completely honest with you, on my free time these days, I'm very much focused on really working through a lot of self-growth, a lot of the really great resources and tools that you have shown me. And then, of course, my family is everything. I'm married recently.
Yes, she is. She just got married. 6 months.
6 months.
It's 6 months.
Yes.
It's this weekend, 6 months, right?
It actually was on Tuesday, I think.
Oh, my goodness.
October 2nd.
Oh, yeah. Wow. That went fast.
Very fast. So yeah, it's been a crazy year full with a lot of change, a lot of good things, a lot of blessings. So a lot of transformation this year, to be honest.
You've had a ton of transformation this year. There has been, between getting married, you've had a couple of promotions and moves at your job, and you have, you moved apartments.
I did.
Your husband got a new job. It's just been a year and a season of transition, and you've weathered it all.
Yeah, with your help.
Your help. What have been some of the things that have been so helpful to you in getting through these transitions?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, it was really important for me to identify saboteurs, which is something that you've actually shown me and taught me what those are. But I really had to do some internal work, and I found, it was very obvious to everyone except for myself, but I was a big people pleaser. I'm also someone who really loves to have control and handle over things. And I think with this stage in my life, it was actually a hindrance that I did not recognize this and have the right tools to, one, identify when I was doing those things, but two, to actually get through that. So for me, learning that from you and really understanding how do I work through that, how do I recognize, that way I could get ahead of it and be proactive, was extremely helpful. And then the second thing I would say is boundaries. I learned this year how to set and how to maintain boundaries. I still have ways to go. But that was so pivotal in my mental health and in the way that I operate. And now me and my partner, and we're a team now, how we operate, how we want to build our life, how we want to build our future family. So boundaries for me have been everything, and it's been really critical to this transformation period.
And you have done tremendous work in establishing boundaries, and really, because of the people pleaser, right? We talked about that, the pleaser, and how that sabotaging behavior really gets in the way, and it really, it can derail your entire life if you give into it. And you said something really important. It's about the awareness, right? Exactly. Now you have the awareness, right? It's like when you say too, I always tell people, stop saying the word can't. Do you ever notice how much you say can't and start saying can, right? People become much more aware. And I think that is what's the pivotal thing that we all need at times of transition, is becoming more aware, right? Opening the eyes wide so you can see what's out there.
Yeah, exactly. And my eyes have been very open the past couple months. And to be very honest with you, I feel like a lot of people, especially in my generation, like millennials, everyone is going through so many different things, whether you're getting married or in a new relationship or a new career or something. There's so much even going on from a society perspective. And I feel like being so aware of who you are, knowing your faults, knowing your strengths, knowing your weaknesses, and how to play them at the right time in a genuine way, I think is also really important.
Absolutely. And it speaks to you living your truth, right? That's really what is so critical. Gabby, we're going to talk so much this afternoon. We're going to go to a commercial break in a couple of seconds, but I want to invite you to to call us if you have a question. 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039, and give us a call if you have a question. If Gabby says something that you are curious about how she's overcome, because we're going to talk about her whole journey. We're going to talk whatever we could get through in the next 30 minutes.
I love it,
but we will. All right, so stay tuned. We'll come back to the Tom Marino Show, and we'll talk to you right after this break. Hey, this is Tom Marino of the Tom Marino Show here. Imagine you wake up and you've had a major sewer backup in your home. Well, let me tell you about a company that I've worked with personally, New House Restoration, where they take your damaged old house and make it a new house. For any water, fire, mold, or asbestos damage, please call them at 631-604-8590. That's 631-604-8590. New House Restoration. Are you tired of nosebleed seats and extra fees? Do you want premium seats at affordable prices? Hey, this is Tom Marino from the Tom Marino Show, and I want to tell you about the best way to get premium tickets at affordable prices for your next concert, sporting event, comedy show, Broadway show. And if you need them anywhere in the United States, just contact Ticket Time. That's TicketTimeUSA.com, TicketTimeUSA.com, and tell them that Tom Marino sent you. And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Mindset and Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you so much for tuning back in on this Thursday, October the 6th. It is October 6th, people. We are in the last quarter of this year. So whatever goals you're shooting for, whatever you haven't attained yet, reevaluate your action steps, look at what you're doing, and make sure that you're on track to achieve those goals. And hey, if you're not on track to achieve those goals and you need a little bit of help, give me a call, 516-588-0750. That's 516-588-0750. You can text me or call me. Business owners trying to reach those fourth quarter goals, give us a call. You know, did you know that most businesses achieve more in the last quarter than they do the entire year because of that end of the year push? It's actually a great, the book, The 12-Week Year, talks about that and how you should set up your year in 12-week intervals. And then every 13th week, you should take a week off. And every year you come back fresh and you achieve more goals. But if you have that 1 quarter push, you will achieve probably more than you've achieved the entire year. So if you're struggling with achieving your goals and you have some roadblocks in the way, definitely reach out to me. Go to tommarino.com, fill out a contact form. Listen, last month, September, was Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. October, in addition to breast cancer awareness, it's also National Depression and Mental Health Screening Month. And it focuses on the awareness of depression and other mental health disorders and provides education on the screening and prevention options. So go read up on depression. There's this really cool assessment that you could take called the PHQ-2 and the PHQ-9. And you can, if you score with mild or moderate depression, definitely reach out and get some help if you need some help. But it is National Depression and Mental Health Screening Month. So I just wanted to bring that to the forefront. And again, on the suicide, if you are in crisis or know someone in crisis, please call 988. That's the suicide prevention hotline, 988. Alrighty, let's get back to talking with Gabby. So Gabby, welcome back. We were talking before the show, your journey a little bit with coaching and how you've gone through a lot of transitions this year. And I know that you've had other times in your life where you've experienced some major transitions. And I think it's really important to highlight how you have persevered through a very serious medical condition called Crohn's disease. And I'm sure there's plenty of people out there that are listening that suffer from Crohn's. My wife's cousin her daughter was just diagnosed with Crohn's.
Wow.
And it's life-changing and really a major transition point in someone's life when you get a diagnosis. So tell us a little bit about your journey with Crohn's.
Yeah, so I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease when I was 13 years old. It was actually just 2 days after my bat mitzvah when I got the formal diagnosis. And for months leading up to it, I was very sick, losing a lot of weight. My pediatrician actually thought that I was hiding an eating disorder. Oh. And I was not. I was just in constant stomach pain. But lo and behold, it was Crohn's disease. This is the first time I ever heard of it, first time my parents ever heard of it. And to be honest, my parents never even thought that they would have a child that would go through something like this. So it was a big shock to the entire family. Mm-hmm. And to be completely honest, it wasn't even really something that we spoke about outside of our home, outside of the four walls. I think there was a little bit of, I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but there was a little bit of trying to shield it because my parents, of course, were going through something that was hard. I obviously was going through something hard. We didn't really want a lot of judgment around that. It's
the protection. It's the judgment. It's you needed time to adjust, right? I mean, I always love when a lot of people, when they're sick and in the hospital, people go to visit them.
Yes.
A lot of people don't want to be visited.
Totally.
They want their privacy. And privacy and giving yourself the space is really one of the key things in any transition, right? Is giving yourself space to cope with it, deal with it, and not have the pressure of having to talk to people and deal with it. So I think that was a great decision and great choice by your parents to really give you that space to adjust.
Yeah. And I mean, at the time, I felt like I was hiding something from people because even when we were at family dinners or holidays and I'd have to go take medicine at a certain time, I would sneak to the bathroom to take the medicine. So there was a little bit of, I wish we put maybe some better boundaries around some of those things. But overall, it was really hard. I was literally just started middle school.
Right.
And as you can imagine, that's a time where you're supposed to be out and about. You're making friends. I'm in a new school. And I was so sick.
Right.
And I'll never forget it. I actually had to crawl out of my English classroom and literally crawl on all fours downstairs to the nurse's office because I was in that much pain.
My goodness.
And I purposely waited until the bell rang at a certain time when I knew that there probably wouldn't be any students in the hallway.
Right.
So it was really difficult. And my mom told me something that will stick with me forever. And I said to my mom, Mom, and I don't know where I got this from. I don't know how I was mature at that age, but I was like, Mom, there has to be a reason why I have this. I don't know anyone that has it. There has to be a reason why I have this. And even though I have this for a reason, I still feel like my life will never be the same. It's impossible for me to live the life that I lived because it's hard. Even though my symptoms are invisible, they're real.
Right.
So people can't even tell that necessarily I'm sick or anything besides my weight at the time, but I'm sick and I just don't feel like I could live a normal teenage life.
Right.
And my mom said to me, well, what does the word impossible have? There's 2 words that make up the word impossible. Don't say that it's impossible for you to live your old life. And I didn't know what the answer was. And she said, well, the word impossible, if you take the words apart, the letters, it's actually I'm possible. So as long as you believe that you could get through this, which you will, Mom and dad support you, your siblings support you, you're going to get through this. It is possible for you to live the life that you lived, if not even better.
And that was what served for the inspiration for your big news. So Gabby, tell everybody what you're going to be launching in January.
Yes, I am so excited. I am launching a podcast. It is called The I'm Factor. And it originated, honestly, from this story and this mindset that my mom instilled in me at such a young age. And that's really, again, the mindset around you have something unique about you. There's a reason why you are who you are.
Right.
You need to identify that, hone that in, and use that as your driving force to live the best life and the life that you dream of. And I thought, this is something I've lived by since I was 13 years old. I am reminded of this every day, especially the past year and a half with a lot of the obstacles and transitions that I've encountered. And this has been my driving force.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to launch it early January 2023.
Right. So now you'll never, ever, if anybody's listening out there right now and you're listening to this, you're never going to look at the word impossible the same again. It's I'm possible.
Right.
I'm possible means that when something seems impossible, know that you have within you to create that possibility and to be the possibility and to be whatever it is being demanded of you. And I just think that's an amazing story. We're going to continue our conversation around that. But we've been talking with Gabby Stras, who is a client and the host of the soon-to-be the I'm Factor podcast, which will be launching in January of this year, right around her birthday, which I think is awesome.
Yes.
But we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about what we could look forward to on that and what else inspired it. So if you're listening, give us a call, 631-451-1039 after these commercial breaks if you have a question, and we will talk to you soon.
Happiness is to you, because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Yeah. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Yeah. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. Yeah. No offense to you.
And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Mindset and Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you for tuning back in on this Thursday, the October the 6th. It is October. It is October baseball. I am pumped. And for those of you who don't know, that I am a huge baseball fan, huge Mets fan. And although the Mets and the Braves tied for the best record in the National League East, the Mets just needed to win one more game. They needed to win one more game. But you know what? they're going to win the one that matters. That's my hope. That's my prayer. And that's what I'm going to manifest, because I still believe this is our year. All right. So we've been talking with Gabby Stras, who is a client of mine and the host of the I'm Factor podcast, which is launching in January of 2023. And Gabby, we were talking before the break about your journey with Crohn's and how your mom said to you, you know, that nothing is impossible because the words mean I'm possible. And that was your inspiration for the I'm Factor podcast.
Exactly.
So tell me a little bit about what you're hoping to achieve with the podcast and who you're really speaking to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am really hoping to make an impact amongst the millennial community. I feel like my generation, we're going through a lot of change. There's a lot of people out there that feel stuck or unmotivated or going through an obstacle. And I feel like being reminded of I'm possible and the I'm factor. What is it that makes you you? What is it that's going to keep you moving, keep you going forward? To be constantly reminded of that, I'm hoping that that will spark inspiration and some influence to really help those that are struggling or even those that are not struggling and just want to continue to live their best life to actually go ahead and do that. So we're going to be having a lot of really amazing guests. I've worked very hard in the past couple of years building out my network, and I really want to be able to share extraordinary people with the community that I'm going to be fostering. I really want to show how they've been using their I'm factor and put that into action and built something amazing or have done something great. And I think that's going to be so valuable. And I've been wanting to share all these amazing people, and this is the perfect opportunity to really see that through. And we'll also sprinkle in some solo cast episodes with myself, just talking about some things that a lot of millennials are going through, whether it's relationships, health and wellness, career-wise, and how you could really use your personal I'm factor to kind of get you through all that.
You know, it's awesome because there is such a need for, I do find with the millennial generation, with the Gen Xers even, you know, we're all struggling with, you know, all of these scripts that people write for us, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you struggle to follow that script. And when you don't follow that script and you're in conflict with that script, instead of you seeing it as I'm not supposed to do this, I'm supposed to do something more, a lot of people beat themselves up. And I know you and I have had some imposter-like syndrome stuff that we've worked through. What is your I'm factor? What do you see as you? I know you asked me that on your podcast because I'm one of your extraordinary guests.
Yes, you are.
But you're extraordinary. So
Thank you.
What is your I'm factor that you want people to know that really is your power?
Yeah, and I really think this all goes back to my 13-year-old self, who was extremely sick and knew that, am I going to let this disease control me and kind of derail me from where I want to go, or am I actually going to use it and go do something valuable with it? So for me, my I'm factor, I really think is my resiliency and the fact that, Tom, you actually taught me this, but things don't happen to you. They happen for you. And Crohn's disease happened for me, I believe, for me to use my voice and show other people that whether you are going through something big and traumatic, like hopefully not, but getting diagnosed with a disease, or you're going through something that is a lot smaller, even if it's just analysis paralysis or something like that. It's being able to know that this is happening for you, for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. And I think for me, my I'm factor is that I'm so in tune and in touch with that. And I really want to be able to use my voice and actually spread some influence, spread some inspiration to show people, hey, I was able to do it. I was in a very bad place. Even in the past year and a half, so many things have happened. So many things have happened in ways that I never really wanted them to happen per se. But I've gotten through it, and I'm not going to let any of those things stop me from living the life I want to live.
Well, what I think is so remarkable, at 13 years old, you're diagnosed with this, and you say to your mother, there's a reason. There's a reason. Like I mean, that is so profound, right? That is someone who is born with that positive mindset, right? That you saw that things happened for you then, right? You knew there was a reason. You didn't necessarily know what that reason was. You didn't know exactly what you were being prepared for. But I always say we don't know what we're being prepared for. And whatever it is, when we arrive, it's like, oh, that's what we were being prepared for.
It hits you.
And it hits you and it slaps you in the face.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you have been... I remember when we first started working together, you were you have such passion and such ambition, and it's like you want everything yesterday. And I always remind you.
Oh, I'm so impatient. I'm so impatient.
And you have had a year of what we'll call patience development, right?
Yes.
And really developing patience, but through establishing boundaries and remembering to take care of yourself, right? But I think one of the big pieces of your success is your ambition and your drive. And I think one of the things that's going to keep, because you've been in leadership programs and leadership roles.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about that, because
Yeah.
that is also part of your I'm factor. When I look at you, I say that is a natural born leader. She is someone who is going to lead many, whether through your words, influencing or whatever. You're going to lead people to a better place. So tell us a little bit about these experiences you've also had as a leader.
Yeah, well, thank you, Tom. Those words really mean more to me than you'll ever know. So I actually, when I graduated from Penn State with my undergrad, everything, like I said, happens for a reason. I wanted to go to grad school right away, and I was approached with an amazing career opportunity to just go for an interview for a very large healthcare company for one of their leadership development programs. Had no idea anything about this company, had no idea what a leadership development program was, but I went. And let me tell you, I learned so much in that interview process. That was about a month long, with 2 days in person and this really big event. And I sat there and I looked around the room, and I had such an imposter syndrome because everyone around me were from the Ivy Leagues. They were all, you could just tell just by the way they spoke, that they were such smart, bright kids. And I called my mom. I was like, Mom, even if I don't get this job, the fact that I was even in this room alone speaks volumes to me. Right. And then next thing I know, I was the first person to actually even get the job offer in my class, which was so crazy. And
how many people were in that group?
So recruitment started with 700 students that applied. And then when it came down to the final rounds, there was 50 and 13 got the job.
Wow.
Yes.
From 700 to 13.
Yes.
And you were one of the 13.
Correct.
That's your shining star. Well, you're a shining star. That's
Thank you, Tom. It was such a crazy experience. And really, ever since then, I've really leaned into the leadership aspect. I like to say I'm a thought leader. I do a lot of seminars and conferences. And part of the networking that I do is I am so inspired by entrepreneurs and natural born leaders. And I spend time getting to know them, getting to understand how did they get to where they are? What's their I'm factor? Like for me, it's so interesting. And really just at the company that I've been in for 5 years, I'm so loyal because they've invested so much in me. And not only that, but I've been able to grow so rapidly. And yes, that a lot comes from the opportunities, but also because I've enabled myself and branded myself in a way to get those opportunities. And for me, that's something that I'll always be very proud of.
Yeah, it's amazing. And it's been such an incredible journey, looking at what we've accomplished in the last year and a half together. And you've done so much of the work, and it is just phenomenal when you put your mind and you focus, right? You see that you achieve so much more when you focus. So, all right, we're going to continue our conversation with Gabby after these commercial breaks. But if you have a question, you want to know something about Gabby, you want to know something about her leadership, you want to ask her a question, give us a call at 631-451-1039. That's 631-451-1039. This is Tom Marino and the Tom Marino Show, and we will be back after these messages.
Here come bad news, talking this and that.
Hey, this is Tom Marino of the Tom Marino Show here. Imagine you wake up and you've had a major sewer backup in your home. Well, let me tell you about a company that I've worked with personally, New House Restoration, where they take your damaged old house and make it a new house. For any water, fire, mold, or asbestos damage, please call them at 631-604-8590. That's 631-604-8590. New House Restoration.
Say goodbye to Hollywood.
Are you tired of nosebleed seats and extra fees? Do you want premium seats at affordable prices? Hey, this is Tom Marino from The Tom Marino Show, and I want to tell you about the best way to get premium tickets at affordable prices for your next concert, sporting event, comedy show, Broadway show, and if you need them anywhere in the United States, just contact Ticket Time. That's TicketTimeUSA.com, TicketTimeUSA.com, and tell them that Tom Marino sent you. And welcome back to the Tom Marino Show. I'm your host, Mindset and Success Strategy Coach Tom Marino. Thank you so much for tuning back in on this beautiful afternoon. We've been talking with Gabby Stras, who is just an amazing client of mine, an amazing person, a real leader, someone totally extraordinary who's gone through so many transitions this year and is just coming out, wading through all that crap and coming out clean on the other side for my Shawshank Redemption message. But we're going to continue talking with Gabby. But before we do that, I mentioned earlier that October is National Depression and Mental Health Screening Awareness Month. So, if you are struggling with some moods and some emotions and you've been sad lately and you're not enjoying things that you usually enjoy and you're feeling some anxiety, not sleeping well, definitely try to find out and ask your primary care provider for a mental health screening or depression screening. They do this thing called the PHQ-9, the PHQ-2. It's a patient health questionnaire. It's a great way to screen for depression and anxiety. You really, you may not realize that you need some support, some help. And it's a great way to get yourself on the right track. And so, Gabby, we've been talking about, so excited about your podcast, so excited about how it came about. I mean, the I'm factor, it just sounds so awesome.
Thank you.
It's not that I had anything to do with it.
You had a very big role in this.
But not that I had anything to do with it, but really, it's so exciting. And you mentioned before, you're going to have a lot of different people from your network that you've met over the years and networking with. Who are some of those people, maybe in terms of their roles that they fill and their lifestyle? What is going to be the conglomeration of these people?
Yeah, so it's really across the whole board. Something that I'm very mindful of is I really want to be well-rounded and I really want to have a very well-rounded network. So I'm going to have amazing guests on the podcast, such as yourself, my amazing life coach, all the way to people in the fashion industry, some up-and-coming fashion designers, ateliers, all the way to some of my professors from grad school.
Oh, wow.
And from undergrad, as well as some physicians and other healthcare leaders. And then also just going down to entrepreneurs, influencers. That's a very big thing these days.
Yep.
And I think it's really interesting to learn about that segment and really how those individuals have really overcome some things. But it's definitely going to be focused a lot on the entrepreneurial side. So a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of individuals that are starting startups. And then, of course, also just close family and friends that I really have think done extraordinary, unbelievable things.
Wow, that's really awesome. So that is some cast of guests coming up. So, Gabby, what is your Instagram handle?
Yes, so my Instagram handle for the podcast is at the I'm Factor Podcast. And then personally, it's Gabriella Stras, GABRIELLASTRAS.
That's awesome. So, and we're expecting the first episodes to drop in January, correct?
Yes. Early January, first week of January, right around my birthday. We want to start off the year on a really awesome, fun, and exciting note. That's
fantastic. Now, you had some inspiration to how, you yourself have this entrepreneurial spirit. You want to do several things.
Yes.
You're working right now. You have a really great job. You do really well in your job. And but you still have ambitions to do stuff outside of that, right?
For sure.
And what are some of the things that you really would like to accomplish over the next, 4 or 5 years, let's say? What would be one thing that you would say, oh, I'm doing everything I want to do?
That's a really amazing question. So I have a lot of ideas, which Tom helps me kind of dig through and just get my head on straight in regards to where to spend a lot of my time. But I will say within the next 4 to 5 years, I really want to start a company that's geared around chronic illnesses. I have the healthcare background, have the business background. I am a chronic illness individual myself. Really want to give back to the community. I think that's also part of my personal I'm factor. And I think that I have Crohn's for a reason. And one of the reasons is because I am capable and hopefully will start a very large, successful, amazing company that's going to impact so many people. So I definitely want to accomplish that within the next few years, working on it now. And I think it's also interesting right now in society, being an entrepreneur is like the hot thing.
Well, yeah, everybody claims to be an entrepreneur.
Exactly. And
right?
everyone wants to start a startup. And for me, I want to also prove to myself, and it's another reason I'm starting this podcast, I want to prove to myself that I actually could go and actually do it.
Right.
Versus me sitting on an idea for years and just talking about it, but not actually putting in the work to do it. Yeah. So for me, I really want to prove that to myself and really help others along the way.
All right. So I really love two things that you just said. One, you want to prove it to yourself. There's nobody else to prove it to but to yourself, right? You're doing this for you, right? That was one of the things that we worked on, is getting past
Took me a while to get here.
Other stuff, right? And getting through the judgment of what other people might say and do. But when you know something, when you're having what we call the whole body yes, right?
Yes.
This podcast for you was not just something we decided that you were going to do very early on. We went through several ways for you to figure out what is the right way that you want to communicate. So tell people a little bit about that.
Yeah. So I'll be honest. I had this idea from one of our very first coaching sessions where Tom basically had a worksheet that had a bunch of different adjectives and hobbies and verbs, and you had to circle what resonated to you. And then from there, you kind of pick apart and try to put them together in X plus X equals X. And that is basically what you should potentially try to look into.
Right.
And I circled public speaking because I think I'm a good public speaker.
I think so too.
I circled entertainment because I love entertaining. I love something that I'm so passionate about is I always want someone to walk away from a conversation with me feeling even better than how they originally felt when they first came up to me.
Right.
And I focus a lot on that at work when a lot of individuals that are in leadership programs come to me to mentor them. That's a very big thing. So I circled entertainment, and I think there was something else, I think maybe with technology or something that was involved. And we kind of put it together and we were like, a podcast, like public speak, it's entertainment, and it's digital.
And not that everybody has a podcast, but everybody has a podcast.
Exactly.
And it's a way for people to communicate their message and grow an audience. And it's such a way of the world now. And video podcasting, I overheard you talking with Anthony, our sound guy, about your desire to make this also a video podcast. So what's some of the thinking behind that? Yeah.
So for me, I am someone that wants to put out something that I think is great. It has my name on it. But it's also test and learn, right?
Yeah.
And I think something I learned because I had this idea a year ago. I think this is really important to note too. I was in a state of analysis paralysis. I was still in a state of judging myself and being and people pleasing and being worried. What are these people going to think about me putting my life out there and starting a podcast and all of this? And it took me a year to get to where I am now.
And what did I just say to do?
It's literally just about me.
Right.
And that's what I did. And I pulled the plug. And I think for me, it's so important to do that. So I'm really excited just in general. I am so thrilled and so grateful, Tom, for you for having me on the podcast and not on your radio show and podcast, but for having me as a client and working with me for almost a year and a half. I can't even believe where I am right now and where I'll go with you.
It's been an awesome year and a half, and I love our conversations. And if you're listening and you've been listening for this whole time, you can tell how Gabby and I's sessions probably go because
our sessions are like pure magic.
Yeah, and they always go over. We don't stay to that hour. It's really tough because we both have stuff that we just want to get off our chest and talk about. Yeah. But no, it's all good stuff, and I am so glad that you were here. I'm so excited for the show. Quickly tell everybody how they could follow your podcast.
Yes. So again, you could follow the podcast on Instagram right now from a social media perspective at the I'm Factor podcast. You could also follow me personally at Gabriella Stras. And then within the next few weeks, you could start finding at least my landing page on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, Google Play, anywhere you could find your podcast. And we will be launching first week of January.
Fantastic. I am so excited for the first week of January to hear that first episode. I want to thank you, Gabby, for being here today. And, I'm so thrilled and excited for you. And again, she's the host of the I'm Factor podcast coming out in January this coming year. And she's been working really hard on it. And I think it's just going to be this huge success. All right. So that's it for this week. I want to thank you all for tuning in and listening. Go to tommarino.com or follow me on Instagram at Tom Marino Coaching. That's Tom Marino Coaching. And until next time, this is Tom Marino saying, choose your adrenalized life.
You got it, don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to